We are officially halfway through the season now. This is going to be game week 20 predictions. Game week 19, I got 8 points, taking me to a total of 107 points. This week kicks off with a pretty good game, Spurs versus Newcastle. Spurs tied their game against Wolves after having a great attack. I feel like Spurs' attack is pretty damn good. They got 2 goals, and they could have won, honestly, if Son put his pen away, but he missed it, leading to a draw. And then there's Newcastle. Isak continues his terror on the league. Another goal from him. Bruno had a great game defensively, especially in the second half, and just playmaking. Just overall, he's a great player. And Eddie Howe continues to cook out of nowhere. I think it was more because Isak came back and the team just overall just became better. For the scoreline, I think Newcastle is just too good at the moment. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Newcastle. Next up is Bournemouth versus Everton. Bournemouth, who got a draw against Fulham, which was a back and forth type of game. Evanilson and Otara got themselves goals, which were great goals. Evanilson's was hard to get, and then Otara being calm, chipping the goalie, which led to a point for them. And then there's Everton, who went against Forest. They had their moments, but just couldn't put anything away. They are really struggling to score. They have 15 goals in the league, and 4 of them were against Wolves. They have 11 goals in 18 games. I think this January transfer window, they should be getting a striker, someone that isn't a type of player like Broha, Calvert-Lewin, or Beto, someone more dynamic. As for the scoreline, I think Everton is going to park the bus again, and Bournemouth are going to slip a goal through. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Bournemouth. Next up is Villa versus Leicester. Villa went against Brighton, which was a pretty entertaining game. Someone I do want to point out was Bailey, who I believe was just a ball hog. Very selfish throughout the whole game. I know he just came back, wants to prove, he could start, but that was just a terrible showing from him. But someone that did do good from coming back was Watkins. He got a goal and an assist, still trying to show that he could still be that main guy over Duran. He's not going to back down. And then there's Leicester, who went against City. Honestly, they should have scored against us, but they just couldn't. No one could find the back of the net for this game. Even though Villa are going to be missing Duran and now Rodgers, I think they still have enough to get 2 goals on them. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Villa. Next up is Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. Crystal got a win against Southampton, which I think they're now out of the relegation battle. I think the bottom 5 teams are the ones that could be going down, and they just pushed out of it. And for Chelsea, they lost against Ipswich. Maresca underestimating them, putting in Nkunku, João Felix, Disasi, bench players, and that really just bit them. Disasi passing the ball to, I think, Hutchinson or Delap, one of them, and they just scored a goal off of that. Caicedo, I think this was his worst game of this season, and this is another slip up for Chelsea. I just think it's going to continue. It is at Crystal's home, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Next up is Southampton versus Brentford. Southampton got an early goal from Dibbling, but just couldn't keep the lead. Crystal's first goal on them was pretty controversial because Mateta just stiff-armed Ramsdale. Should have been a foul. I don't know why it's okay to start, pushing on the keepers nowadays. That's something Arsenal are really good at, just pushing on the keepers, and there's no foul given. I think that needs to change. And then there's Brentford, who I believe was sloppy against Arsenal. Just the first 2 goals that Arsenal scored, they should have cleared immediately, but they just couldn't. And Mbeumo did get them a goal, going for the near post and sending Raya the wrong way. But overall, just again, not a good performance from Brentford. I think this should be a game that Brentford win, though. It is Southampton bottom of the league. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Brentford. Next up is City versus West Ham. City finally get a win over Leicester, which we should have done. Haaland having a way better game this time. Instead of just standing up there doing nothing and adding nothing. He finally dropped deep, picked up the ball a little bit more, played, dribbled, made some passes. A lot better from him. And he got himself a goal. But Savinho is who I want to be talking about because he got himself a goal and an assist. Finally, he's on the board after 19 weeks. It's been so damn long, but finally he's on there. Hopefully he continues that form. As for West Ham, they got massacred by Liverpool 5-0. I think it's just a wake-up call for West Ham. Yes, Lopetegui has been doing good, but they haven't been convincing wins, in my opinion. I think they're still iffy. I think it's just moments of brilliance from players that save them the points. If they want to improve, I think Lopetegui still needs to go. This is a game of two teams who aren't meeting their expectations. City did win, but we're not there. We're not there yet. I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Next up is Brighton versus Arsenal. Brighton got a draw against Villa. Lamptey had a great game in my opinion. He got himself a goal, had Rodgers in his pocket a couple times. Just overall great game from him. But it is another draw for them. Their winless streak continues. I think this is now 6 games in the Prem without a win. Really need to improve. João Pedro is someone who I specifically want to point out because I feel like he needs to add a little bit more to the team, a little bit goals. And then there's Arsenal, who capitalized on Brentford's mistakes. The first 2 goals were just Brentford not clearing and Arsenal players being there. But the third goal from Martinelli was a banger, pretty good goal from him. But still, Arsenal aren't impressive. I said earlier this season that Arsenal are the only ones that look like they could compete against Liverpool. But now, I think I take it back. I think Liverpool are just clear favorites at the moment. Arsenal did win. They are winning, but it's just not enough to win the whole thing. As for the scoreline, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Fulham versus Ipswich is next. Fulham got a draw versus Bournemouth through headers. One was from Jimenez and the other one was from Wilson, who continues his scoring form. And then there's Ipswich, who surprised everyone, beating Chelsea through a Hutchinson goal. Hutchinson, last week I called out Hutchinson for not producing enough, and then he scores, which, good for him. But someone who I think did better than Hutchinson was Delap. Every time that Ipswich were on the counter, he was giving the center backs problems, and even Caicedo, who I think was awful. But overall, great game for them, great win for them. For the scoreline for this game, I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Fulham. Next up is Liverpool versus United. Liverpool had a everyone eats type of game against West Ham. 5 different goal scorers. It was just easy work for them. And as for United, they had a horrendous game. Well, the first half was even worse than the second one. This could get ugly for United, honestly. I'm going to go for a 4-0 win to Liverpool. Last game of the game week, we have Wolves versus Forest. Wolves got 2 great goals against Spurs, one from Hwan Hee-chan and one from Strand Larsen, which led to a draw for them. And then there's Forest, who beat Everton. Their first goal was beautiful from Gibbs White, launching it up to Wood, laying it off to Ilanga, back to Wood, and then putting it back in the net. Forest sort of gave Everton their own medicine in this game, where they would happy to give up possession and then hit them with the counters, which worked. As for the scoreline, I think it should be easy for Forest. I think Wolves are going to be attacking them, and then same type of plan is going to happen again, and it's going to work again. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Forest. Those are my Game Week 20 predictions. Tell me what you think in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and thank you for watching.